Jesus and the parable of the mustard seed. Now, I want you to picture this with me for just a moment. You're standing on a sunlit hillside in ancient Israel, surrounded by farmers, shepherds, and everyday people like you and me. They've come to hear Jesus speak. He's become famous for his parables, simple, powerful stories that reveal deep truths about life, faith, and God's kingdom. Now, on this day, Jesus doesn't hold up a scroll or a sword. Instead, he holds up something almost invisible, a mustard seed. Can you imagine the crowd? Some of them are leaning in, curious, while others might be whispering, "A mustard seed? What's he trying to tell us?" And then Jesus begins. The kingdom of heaven is like a mustard seed, which a man took and planted in his field. Though it is the smallest of all seeds, yet when it grows, it is the largest of garden plants and becomes a tree, so that the birds come and perch in its branches. And in those few words, Jesus reveals a truth that can transform how we see our lives and our faith. Let's break it down together. You ready? Now first, Jesus chooses a mustard seed for a reason. It's tiny and one of the smallest seeds that you can possibly imagine. You could hold it in your hand and barely notice it. But here's the amazing part. When that little seed is planted, it grows into a tree large enough to give shelter to birds. So the first lesson here is this: small beginnings can lead to extraordinary outcomes. And you might look at your life, your faith, or even your actions and think, what difference can this make? But Jesus is telling us not to underestimate the power of something small. A kind word spoken to someone who's hurting, a simple act of generosity, or even just a moment of quiet prayer. These small things, when given to God, can grow into something far greater than we can ever imagine. And think about this. Every great movement started small. Every oak tree began as an acorn. And every transformation in our lives begins with one tiny step of faith. The mustard seed doesn't grow just by sitting on a shelf. It has to be planted in soil where it can take root. And Jesus says the man took and planted it in his field. And that's really important here, because the seed doesn't fulfill its purpose unless it's placed in the right environment and given a chance to grow. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that our faith can't stay hidden. It has to be planted and lived out in the real world. Maybe that looks like starting a new habit, or reaching out to someone in need, or even taking a leap of faith in the area where you're currently feeling called. Planting the seed takes action. It's not always easy, and it might feel risky, but without planning, there is no growth. So ask yourself, what seed is God asking me to plant today? Now, here's the part that can be challenging for us. Seeds don't grow overnight. They take time. And the roots spread first underground where no one can see them. Only later do the leaves and branches appear. Now, in the same way, the kingdom of heaven and the work God is doing in our lives often unfolds gradually. This can be hard because we live in a world that values speed. We want instant answers, quick fixes, and immediate results. But Jesus reminds us that growth requires patience. So maybe you're in a season where you've planted a seed, but you're not seeing much happen. You've prayed, you've worked, you've waited, and it feels like nothing is changing. Be encouraged. Just because you can't see the growth doesn't mean it isn't happening. Trust the process. Trust the one who makes things grow. And finally, let's look at what happens when the mustard seed grows. It becomes a tree. and the birds come to perch in its branches. This is such a beautiful image because it shows us that the mustard seed doesn't grow for itself. It becomes a source of shelter, rest, and life for others. Did you know that the same is true for us? As our faith grows, it's not just for our benefit. It's meant to bless the people around us as well. Think about your family, your friends, your community. Who might need the shelter of your branches? Who can you encourage, support, or help with the gifts of growth God has given you? You know, when we live in and with our faith, our lives become a refuge for others. We create a ripple effect of love, kindness, and hope that spreads far beyond what we can see. Now, as we think about this parable today, I want to leave you with this challenge. What mustard seed can you plant in your life this week? You know, maybe it's taking a small step towards a big dream. Maybe it's reaching out to someone you've been avoiding or showing love to someone who doesn't expect it. Or maybe it's trusting God with something that feels impossible right now. Remember this. Small beginnings don't have to stay small when God is involved. The kingdom of heaven itself began with a baby born in a manger, a carpenter from Nazareth, and a few fishermen willing to say yes. What could he do with your mustard seed? So plant your seed, nurture it with faith, water it with trust, and be patient as it grows. And when it does, let your life be like that mustard tree, offering shelter, hope, and love to everyone who comes near. Remember, never underestimate the power of small beginnings because in God's hands, even the smallest seed can grow into something extraordinary. Amen. Thank you. Hey, I'll be back tomorrow with another great parable from Jesus, and I hope you'll join me because I'll be looking to see you because you make a difference in my life, and I care about you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Take care, friends. Have a beautiful day.